If you struggle with taking bad trades, FOMO trading, or just being able to filter out bad setups from good ones, then this is the video for you. I'll be breaking down the key confirmations I need to see before entering any supply and demand trade that keeps my trading mechanical, removes any emotional decision making, and allows me to focus on only the highest probability setups. If you don't know me, I've documented my entire trading journey on this channel for the last 3 years, so everything I'm about to show you has been tested and proven publicly, with hundreds of students making 5 to 6 figures this way, but let's just get into the first confirmation. Now, as a supply and demand trader, one of the most important skills you can develop is reading price action, because the quality of a setup isn't just determined by the zone itself, but by how price moves into it. In fact, two identical zones can produce completely different results purely based on this. So let's take a look at what we want to see versus what we don't want to see as price moves towards our zone. So ideally, we want price moving directly to our zone with very little resistance. As you can see in both of these examples, price is moving cleanly towards our zone with very little opposite directional candles. So we have straight bearish candles towards our demand zone and straight bullish candles towards our supply zone. So why is this? Well, it's because markets basically move in cycles. If price has been aggressively bullish for a long period of time, then eventually it needs to retrace. You can see this as a very clear bullish market, but price still has as many bearish retracements as it has bullish ones. This isn't because of any indicator or crazy thing, it's just how the market moves. Nothing will trend forever without a pullback. And now let's combine that with the idea of supply and demand. Now, by the time we move from the top of this area down to the bottom of this demand zone, not only is price now due for a retracement, but it's also reaching a much better price for investors. This is also an area where price moved off extremely aggressively before, so historically, this is a great zone for investors to buy at. So when price approaches a zone like this, we now have multiple reasons to expect a reaction. As I just explained, the zone will have historical significance, institutions are being offered a way better price, and the market is now in need of a retracement because we know price is not going to just move down like this forever, it is eventually going to need to retrace. And this is exactly the type of setup we want to be involved in, but let's compare this to the type of setup we don't like to see. This time, instead of having clean movement straight towards our zone, we have price action move against our intended direction. If we're looking to take a buy position from a demand zone and we're moving in a short-term downtrend towards our zone, then that is obviously not going to be ideal. Likewise, if we're making higher highs and higher lows towards our supply zone, then it's not going to be the best place to sell at. Think about it, why would we want to buy into bearish market structure or sell into bullish market structure? Not only is price showing us something against our directional bias, but by not moving cleanly towards the zone, we are not in need of a retracement. If you get some kind of reaction from your zone, this is likely just going to be another small retracement of this short-term bearish trend to just continue going down. But now let's look at a real example. As price moved into this demand zone, everything was lining up in our favor. The move down was extremely clean, there was no evidence of bearish intent, the market had traveled a significant distance lower, so we're reaching a great price for investors. And if you're trading with a previous bullish trend like I expect you would be, then continuing lower from here would mean breaking a major low. And from a probabilities perspective, that's just quite unlikely. Another benefit of moving down in a straight line is that we create a clear path for our take profit areas. If price moves down to our zone with a lot of clear structure, then chances are price will react from some of these areas on the way up. Whereas this way, there's very few obstacles or really anything that we could react from whilst going up to our TP. So it now gives us a clearer route to our take profit and most of the time a way better risk to reward. And that's why our approach to the zone is one of the most important factors towards having a good win rate with supply and demand. Now our second confirmation is zone placement, and this is where I see a lot of supply and demand traders make mistakes. They'll see 4 or 5 zones on a chart, they'll mark out every single one, and as price enters each one, they'll just take their entries. The problem is not all zones are equal. Some zones are much more probable to win than other ones. So let's say in a scenario like this where we have multiple supply zones forming on one big bearish move, which ones are institutions most likely to use? Well, let's start with the lowest zone of a supply setup. These can work extremely well because markets aren't always going to make a massive retracement. A lot of the time, price is just making this small continuation type structure where it pauses, retraces slightly, and then moves in its intended direction. And that's why these continuation type zones can be very effective. Institutions can step in, defend a smaller pullback, and continue trend without allowing price to go all the way back through structure. So even though this isn't the absolute best price available, it is still giving investors a better price, and a lot of the time price doesn't want to go all the way up to the top of structure. And next, let's look at the highest zone, because these can be extremely powerful. Why is this? Well, because if institutions are looking to sell, then this is often going to be the best price before markets start changing structure. We see this behavior constantly. Price comes to the highest point of a swing, sellers step in, and then the trend continues. It happens over and over again because naturally big players want the absolute best price. Trust me, these institutions are nothing like us. By waiting for this extra maybe 30 pip move, they're making probably hundreds of millions extra dollars. So they will wait for those retracements a lot of the time and wait for the absolute best price. And this is realistically the best price that we're going to come to without price breaking a major high and starting a new trend. They're not interested in selling after the move has already happened. They want their absolute best premium price. And that is exactly what these higher zones are providing. Plus, this price clearly saw a strong reaction moving down before, so it's clearly a key structure level where price will likely react from again. All we're ever doing with our strategies and technical analysis in general is basing everything off historical data. So when we drop from one place once, we're likely going to drop from that area again. So both the top and the bottom zone both make sense. One is ideal for a continuation and one is ideal for the absolute best price possible. Now, what about these zones in the middle? Well, generally these are ones that I tend to avoid more often. Not because they can never work, but because they don't really offer any clear advantage over the others. If institutions want a good continuation, then it'll likely just move from the bottom zone. If they're really looking for the absolute best price, then it'll go to the top zone. So what purpose does the middle zone serve? Well, usually not much. Of course, there are exceptions. For example, if the middle zone has a far better level of liquidity in front of it. For example, this zone has a great level of liquidity in front of the zone compared to this bottom one. But as a general rule, these are the zones that I'm less interested in. If the lower zone is high quality, then I'll wait for my entry model there. If not, then I'll likely switch my focus mainly to the upper zone. Because if price isn't willing to move from the bottom zone, then it's likely just searching for a better price higher up. And generally, that's where institutions tend to become very interested again. I mean, after all, when you see structure like this, when are you ever expecting price to just do this and start moving up from this random area? You kind of just expect price to move from the top or the bottom of structure like this. Even if you don't actually think about it, I'm sure subconsciously this looks right to you. And in this case, we reacted from the top zone rather than taking all the time to reach the bottom zone for the best price. So if you ever have a lot of zones coming up on one chart, then just make sure to think from an institution's perspective, because that is where the highest probability setups will be found, because we are just trying to piggyback off these large institutions' moves. Now, the third confirmation is the rejection that we get from the zone itself. Now, I'm not going to spend too long on this because the concept itself is fairly simple, but it is one of the most, if not the most important thing when we actually take our supply and demand setup. If your zone doesn't produce a convincing reaction, then that is a huge warning sign. Once again, at the end of the day, all we're doing is piggybacking off of institutional buying and selling. So if price reaches your zone and reacts like this, what is that telling us? Well, it tells us that there's very little interest here. No aggressive buying, no aggressive selling either, just no evidence that any larger players are stepping in. And if institutions aren't interested, then I'm definitely not interested. One of the biggest mistakes I see supply and demand traders make is just taking setups just because it touched your zone rather than got a good reaction, because they are two completely different things, and you will see countless setups every single week. So there is no reason to force yourself into setups that show no real conviction. I mean, let's just analyze this example. This is technically valid. We haven't closed inside our zone, which is one of my rules, but the reaction itself is very weak. Price barely pushes away from the area. We have a lot of selling pressure shown by this upper wick and no real bullish confidence. And more often than not, this is the type of setup that will either immediately lose or just run out of volume and slowly fizzle into your stop loss. And if we compare that to a zone that gets tapped and just immediately explodes, this is clearly telling us that there are buyers in the market. You can clearly see that institutions are actively defending this area. Maybe in live markets, you take those poor entries because it feels like you're going to get an insane risk to reward, but usually that trade-off for the horrible win rate is never going to be worth it. You're going to go on losing streaks, you're going to fail challenges, and it's just going to ruin your confidence. Because a strategy that's easy to execute consistently is way easier than a strategy that has potential for high rewards, but is putting you under constant psychological pressure. It's just never going to work out. Anyway, I hope you got some value from this. Remember, none of this matters unless you go and actually test this yourself. Take these concepts, open the charts, and actually do your own testing. See how often they show up in your own back testing, whatever. Because the goal isn't to blindly copy what I'm doing, it's to test it yourself and actually see that it works. But if you did enjoy the video, like and subscribe, comment something, I'll get back to you. And if you want to learn more about how I personally trade supply and demand, then check the first link in the description to the VIP group. I share all my live trades, all of my backtest data. I do live coaching calls every week and way more. You can ask me as many questions as you want. There's not too many people in there at the moment still, so I managed to get back to people pretty quick. But regardless, thanks for watching and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.